Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 282. Good afternoon, everyone, since it is past 12 p.m. Hope everyone is having a great day. Hold on just a second. There we go. All right. Got to get stuff going around here. All right. Yeah, I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope y'all got to watch the president's speech last night. It was only 18 minutes, almost 19 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about that today also. Let me get my stuff here. There we go. Multitasking. All right. So welcome to the JPA Report. Hey, if y'all see that I have any audio problems or freezing up, or my great sounding voice automatically goes really bass, let me know. Okay, just chime in on the JPA Report on the live chat, and let me know. Right, please. All right. So if you're tuning in to the JPA Report, and you have not followed me before, please click that follow button, and then right next to it is that thumbs up. Please give me a like or a heart or whichever platform, because I do simulcast through Facebook and X and YouTube. All right. I do know one thing. Yesterday, like I was just talking about, my voice and the stuff was freezing up. I did notice when I was reviewing my stuff on YouTube, my live shot cut out after 16 minutes. So I don't know if it did the same on X and Facebook. I'll go back and check, but if it did, I apologize. I did not do that on purpose. It may be this old technology that I'm using. All right. So come on. There we go. Stop. I have a very touchy PowerPoint. All right. So first off, America 250. I got one thing for the day. I found a letter from George Washington to John Hancock for the 18th of December, 1775. All right. So if you haven't followed the JPA Report before, I do this every episode, day by day, to celebration of America 250. I'm going to march through the American Revolution. So we're on 18 December 1775. Sir, Captain Manley of the Lee armed schooner took and sent into Beverly the sloop Betsy, a Atkinson master. She is an armed vessel dispatched by Lord Dunmore with Indian corn, potatoes, and oats for the army in Boston. The paquets of letters found on board, I have the honor to send you with this, by Captain James Chambers, they being of so much importance that I do not think it would be prudent to trust them by a common express. As Lord Dunmore's schemes are fully laid open in these letters, I need to... My dog wants to hang out with me today. Let's see. As Lord Dunmore's schemes are fully laid open in these letters, I need not point out to the Congress the necessity there is of a vigorous exertion being adopted by them to dispose his lordship of the stronghold he has got in Virginia. I do not mean to dictate, but I am sure they will pardon me for giving them freely my opinion, which is that the fate of America a good deal depends on his being obliged to evacuate Norfolk this winter or not. I have Kirkland well secured, and think I will send him to you for examination. By most of the letters relative to him, he is a dangerous fellow. John Stuart's letters and papers are of very interesting nature, Governor Tonian's, and many other letters from Augustine show the weakness of the place, at the same time of what vast consequence it would be for us to possess ourselves of it, and a great quantity of ammunition contained in the fort. Indeed, these papers are of so great consequence that I think this, but little in fear of any prize, our famous Manly has taken. We now work at our ease on Leechmoor's Hill on discovering our party there yesterday morning. The ship was lay opposite, began a cannonade in which Mount Horham added some shells. One of our men was wounded. We fired a few shot from 18-pounders, which are placed on Cobble Hill, and soon obliged the ship to shift her station. She now lies in Ferry Way, except the few shells from the Mount in Boston, which do no execution. We have no interruption of prosecuting our works, which will in very short time be completed. When that is done, we will have powder to sport with, I think, if the Congress resolve on the execution of the proposal made relative to the town of Boston, it can be done. I have sent a letter this day to General Howe, of which a copy goes herewith. My reason for pointing out Brigadier General Prescott as the object who is to suffer Mr. Allen's fate is that by letters from General Schuyler and copies of letters from General Montgomery to Schuyler, I am given to understand that Prescott, in the cause of Allen's sufferings, I thought it'd be best to be decisive on the occasion, and did the generals who I consulted thereon. The returns for men enlisted since my last amount to be to about 1,800, making in the whole 7,140. The militia that are come in, both from this province and New Hampshire, are very fine-looking men and go through their duty with great altruism. The dispatch made both by the people in marching and by the legislative powers in complying with my requisition has given me infinite satisfaction. Your letter on the 8th instant, with an explanatory resolve expecting my calling forth the militia and minutemen, is come to hand, to which I shall pay all due attention. You have removed all the difficulties which I labored under about the 2 battalions of Marines. I shall obey the orders of the Congress in looking out for proper officers to command that corps. I make no doubt, when the money arrives to pay the arrears in the month's advance, that it will be a great encouragement for the men to enlist. Enclosed is a letter I lately received from Mr. James Lovell. His case is truly pitiable. I wish some motive could be fallen upon him to relieve him from the cruel situation he is now in. I am sensible to the impropriety of exchanging a soldier for a citizen, but there is something so cruel distressing in regard to this gentleman that I dare say you will take it under your consideration. I am, with great respect, sir, your most humble, honored servant, George Washington. All right. Forgive me on me reading this. A lot of this is in King's English, Old English. It's hard to read sometimes. Our stuff is so much more fluid these days. When you get away from the King's English and you talk real English, it gets a whole lot better. But that is the letter from General Washington to John Hancock, the President of the Second Continental Congress. for the 18th of, 18th of December, 1775. All right. It's making to be a rough day. Hold on. Alrighty. So, next. The president's speech. Let me get these. All right. A little bit of reading to do. And I got some graphs I'm going to show you also, okay, from what the president was talking about last night. President drops receipts on U.S. savings since Biden's Oval Office exit. President Trump rattled off his economic policies. Oh, as you were. I got to talk about these guys. The Dalmatian Burger Group, I'll make it fast. They're homemade smash burgers and dogs here in Copper's Cove. All their ingredients are homemade, including their buns, and they are open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 2 and 5:30 to 7, unless they sell out. And they're located in the west side of Copper's Cove, where buying Bush's Chicken. Okay, so and I like the armadillo burger on here. So give them a look. See if you're in the Copper's Cove. Go find yourself the Copper's Cove. Go to Bush's Chicken. Go behind it at the shopping center, and look for the Dalmatian Burger Group. Okay. Meanwhile, back to our regularly scheduled program. All right. So where was I at? Let me advance my slide so I'm ready. There we go. All right. So President Trump rattled off his economic policies, have pulled America from the brink of ruin following former President Joe Biden's tenure during his primetime address to the nation on Wednesday. He goes, "Here at home, we are bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin," Trump said Thursday. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices on everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those prices down and bringing them down very fast. Trump said that under the Biden administration, car prices rose at least 22%, gasoline rose 30 to 50%, hotel rates from 37% and airfare to 31%, and mortgage prices are $15,000 under. They were up $15,000 under Democrat rule. Trump said that under the Biden administration, car prices. I just read that one. Now, under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast. Democrat politicians also sent the cost of groceries soaring, but we are solving that too. And then we'll go to the next one. Okay. One thing that the president did say in there that caught a lot of people off guard. And you know what? I was reading something early last week about how they might be paying soldiers early, right? And I think this was supposed to be a secret or something. But someone said that direct deposits were going to go out like a week and a half early for in the month December. I'm like, why? How do you do that, right? It would mess up the whole pay system because any pay changes on a soldier's pay has to be done, I believe, by the 22nd of the month, right? So I'm like, okay, so I've been looking on the internet left and right, and I can't find nothing on this, right? I found something yesterday afternoon that said you're getting paid on the 29th if you got direct deposit. And that's what I told my wife. And then when I heard that in the speech where the president gave the warrior dividend and that it'll be paid before Christmas, that's when it all clicked in. That's what the person that wasn't supposed to be talking was talking and put it out on the internet and people saw it. But I guess a lot of us didn't put two and two together until President Trump said what he did. So during his address to the nation Wednesday night before Christmas, that nearly 1.5 million military service members will be receiving a Christmas bonus. All right? While touting his administration's agenda from the White House, Trump said that the nation's more than 1.45 million military service members would receive a warrior dividend in honor of the nation's founding roughly 250 years ago. And the checks are already on the way. See what I was telling you? Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I fully agree with that too, Mr. President. And I say congratulations to everybody. Trump also touted a record enlistment in the military under his leadership, adding that last year under Joe Biden, the military saw some of the worst annual recruiting numbers in our military's history. What a difference a year makes. Trump address from the White House Wednesday night was a tour de force for the president's accomplishments since retaking the White House. And so, if you didn't know, the warrior dividend is $1,776. What I don't know is if it includes taxes. And taxman always calls, right? I did ask my daughter because she's married to a sergeant. They don't know the answer to that, but I did say to her, like, if they did take taxes out. So when you get a bonus in the Army, it's automatically taxed at 30%, and then you get it back when you file your taxes, right? So off $1,700. You're looking at about $600 worth of taxes, I think. But this is December. So right after Christmas comes New Year's, comes new tax year. You can file your taxes and get those taxes back. So if they do take taxes, you're going to get it back like within about 2 months. All right? Good savings program so you don't spend it all in the same place and overheat the economy. But honestly, I think that's a really good thing that the president did, and it's really, really well earned. I never got anything like that in the Army, and I served 25 years, and that is a really good gesture on his part, and I really appreciate him doing that. If you hear some noise in my house in about 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes, is my daughter getting back. She went to get her nails done, and she's going to come through the front door. She hasn't pulled up yet. All right. So to carry on with President Trump, it said, this is from the New York Post. President Trump came out swinging against his predecessor in a rare address from the nation, touting the progress he made last year, saying it was the best years yet to come in 2026. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. President Trump declared on Wednesday night in a year-end recap, beaming live into millions of homes. We had the worst trade deals ever, and our country was laughed at from all over the world, but they're not laughing anymore. You know, one thing, how in the world was he able to make a speech about the economy and what they're doing when M. Snow, that's what I call MS now, or MSNBC, M. Snow, CNN, all these liberal networks and stuff, they did not have to carry the president's speech, right? But I heard this morning, I was watching the Graham Allen show, right? And they were talking about Tucker Carlson. and he made a statement yesterday morning, that he was on the Judge Neapolitan show. He used to be on Fox, but he's on some other network now. But he was doing a podcast, and he was live, right? And he was like almost insisting that the president was going to declare war on Venezuela last night during his speech. And I bet some other people, he said, some congressman said he just came out of a brief. That was me lowering my voice. It was not my computer doing it, right? But he actually said on the Judge Napolitano show that he said some congressman came out of a secure brief and told him that the president intends to declare war on Venezuela last night, right? And, you start thinking about it. How could the president somehow convince the liberal media to give him airtime? Let's start a rumor that that was going to be done. So I would not doubt if the lamestream media out there was. Hey, Rachel.
Hi.
Hold on just a second. Come here real quick.
Hi.
Come here. She just got her nails done. I want to just look at her nails real quick. Come here. Vámonos.
Chill.
I invented chill.
No, you did not.
Okay. It looked pretty cool. Yeah.
She made an ornament.
Oh, cool. She had a Christmas ornament. Too bad you can't show it on the camera. I don't know if they'd see it. Look at that. Isn't that pretty neat?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
Go. Bye.
Bye. I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, she's got to work tonight, so she got to go hit the sack for a few hours. She won't see us until she comes in early in the morning, because we're going to go see Avatar in 3D in a couple hours. My wife and I, double date. So that was what we were thinking about. And I heard that on Graham Allen this morning, because I'm like, why would Tucker Carlson ever do something like that? That would be stupid, right? He'd destroy all credibility. Well, it was a feint. It might have been a feint. And Graham Allen was talking about that a little bit later in his show, and it makes total sense. They planted a false flag to convince the lamestream media to give the president time to go on TV thinking, we're going to sink him. Yes, we're going to sink him. We're going to embarrass him because he's going to declare war. And all of a sudden he starts talking about his accomplishments he has made over the last 11 months without impeding the capability of these networks from disconnecting them. And I think if that was the case, that was a very smart, devious move on his part. All right. So it says over the last 11 months, we have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in American history. Trump declared focusing heavily on American economic concerns. He goes, Trump whipped out a chart to show, and we're going to show those charts in just a second, to show price decreases, and wage increases under his watch, and real private sector wage growth averaging $1,048 since he returned to the White House versus losses of $29.19 under Joe Biden. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22%. And I'm going to go visual now, okay? And I can read.
Sorry.
Can you? Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
Thanks.
All right. Text messages. All right. So there's the president. All right. So we're talking about wage, price increases, decreases. Okay. Next one, gasoline, mortgage, and then the next one, electricity, real wage and gains for the typical worker. Yeah. So if you look at these, mortgage, gasoline, price increases. Okay, I didn't see that one. Okay. Let me go back here for a minute. Then let's look at the facts. Car prices rose. Let me look at the car, if I can find the car price one. Nope, I didn't see that slide. Okay. Car prices rose 22% in many states, 30% or more in others, right? Democrat politicians set also set the cost of groceries. Sorry, but we're solving that too. Okay, groceries. Let's see here. Groceries. There's wage gains. Oh, yeah, okay. Let me go back here. This is what he's talking about. Hotel rates. Hotel rates went up 37.4 under Biden, and they've already dropped 5.1% under Trump. So, like propane, a lot of people use that for grilling, up 25%. Now they've dropped back 4.2%. Here's new and used cars up 21. Now they've dropped off about 0.5%, and which they're going to drop off even more when everything comes back online. And we got gasoline. Gasoline went up 30.7%, and we saw gas the other day, and I wish I would have used that. My wife took a picture of a Walmart gas station, a Murphy USA, and the gas was $2.08 a gallon in Killeen, I believe it was. $2.08 a gallon. Wow. Airfare. It's dropped off 2.9% from the highs under Biden. We have prescription medicine, sporting event tickets, right? My daughter, the one you just saw her nails, right? She just bought a round trip ticket, first price, first class for $600 to Los Angeles from Killeen, from Austin to Los Angeles and back, so she can cross the graduation stage on Monday. And it was like a 5-day round trip, right? They're pretty cool. So we'll just go through the rest of these slides real quick, because we're steadily running out of space here. Let me go ahead and put this, because it was really, really good speech last night. And if you have a capability of going back, you can look at some podcasts like I think it's RSBN, Red State Broadcasting Network. But here's a couple one. Here's gasoline from. So if you go back to 2017 when Trump was first president, you see the steady. Gas is pretty steady, right? Up and down. It got close to about $3, and then after Trump took off right here, look at it spike all the way up there, and then look back here in 2025 with President Trump, it's dropping off. And like I said, we just got gas at about right there for us, right? Mortgage cost, closing cost to buy a house, right? $14,647. It's already dropped off almost $3,000 more since Trump has been in office. And then over here, real wage losses, and then gains for the typical worker. Biden lost $3,000 almost, and then all private sector up $1,000 for Trump. Factory workers up $1,300, construction almost $1,800, and then mining up $3,300. That's a big jump. People need that money to get it back. And over here you see electric generation. You see dark red is where they got a multitude of electric generation plants coming online and stuff, because with the AI centers and data centers, that stuff uses a lot of electricity. It's it's suppressing the amount of electricity that could be used by consumers. And then to the added aspect is before we got rid of the electric vehicle mandate, it was going to put an additional 25% strain on the networks themselves, in which we have no capacity to generate enough electricity for all that. You can have all the windmills, all the solar panels you want. It ain't going to help, right? So we're putting LNGs back in. I saw a deal they're about to fire up by 2028, 3 Mile Island, which is called something else. CCEC is what they call it. But they're saying that 3 Mile Island, what it was called, is going to be operational again by 2028. And then last thing before I go is on this subject was the price of turkey from November last year to November this year is down 33%. The price of eggs has gone down 82%. Okay? So if anyone tells you that we are not making any type of headway in our country, they're sadly mistaken. Cat Patrol. Remember my vinegar bottle. All right. So next, we will talk about that next. I want to talk about this one. Dan Bongino. Okay. Dan Bongino told the whole world yesterday that he is resigning effective, I think it was January 3rd, from the FBI. And he's going to go back into the private sector. The president yesterday said it looks like he wants to go back and do his podcasting. All right? That's all fun. I heard Vince this morning. He's the one that took Dan Bongino's place on his podcast. He was very humble about the whole situation. He's encouraged about the future, about the radio show, about the podcast. Maybe they can work 2 separate podcasts and work together under Silverlock, which is an awesome idea because they're both great podcasters, right? I will tell you, I have listened to Dan Bongino for well over 5 years. I'm considered one of those P1 listeners. I would take time out of my day just to listen to Dan Bongino. If it wasn't for Dan Bongino, I've never met the man, right? But if it wasn't for him, I would have never started the JP8 report, because I started this January 1st of 2021. I mean, yeah, I got 282 episodes because I took 2 breaks in the course of those 5 or so years because I got burned out and I got busy doing my business, and I lost my business. But I've been going steady since June, nonstop. But the just to see how he did his podcast and how dedicated he was to it, and not to play entertainment games with his podcast and just do news and political stuff, that gave me encouragement to do the same thing. And I've been doing it. I'm telling you, I live off of Army retirement and VA disability because I'm still trying to break the mold on seeing how we can actually earn money from the podcast, because I would like to just do this and make a difference, right? There are a lot of, I don't know if they're real conservatives or real people out there, but I call them really entertainers. And are they really providing a service to the conservative movement out there, to the MAGA movement? Or if the money disappeared, would they disappear also? Because I could name a few names on people that I would actually suspect they were that type of person. Hey Rob, I see that you commented on the live chat. Yo, back. I just told people we're all going to go. We're having a double date today to see Avatar. So I'll see you in an hour and a half. All right, man. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot of. I think people just play the game just to make a few extra dollars and couldn't care less about the conservative movement. They just read everything they see on a teleprompter in front of them and have no idea what they're even talking about. Man, I can't wait to see him do his podcast again. And, I started this podcast at 6 a.m. and then I moved it to noon, which I'm doing it now. And I'm like, oh, you know what? How about if I toy with the 10 o'clock hour like I did the other day, just because Rachel was crossing graduation stage. And it felt pretty good to do it at 10 a.m. And then Dan Bongino submitted his resignation. And I'm like, well, I know what time slot he probably wants to move into. So it looks like I may either keep this one, or if I have to, go back and do it a morning report type deal like I used to do, right? And we can make that successful. That's no big deal. I just can't wait to see Dan Bongino again. Matter of fact, I meant to show you. Look, I'm wearing my Dan Bongino shirt, right? The first one I ever bought. And the one I wore yesterday with the folds of honor on it, that's a Dan Bongino one also, right? So, Dan Bongino, yes, yes, yes. Matter of fact, you look at it like this about Dan, okay? He is like Graham Allen called him the GOAT earlier today. He's just Dan Bongino. You don't need to call him the GOAT. But the numbers, I've noticed that numbers of podcasting, of people listening to podcasts have been going down. Because I look at everybody's live feeds and stuff. But look at it like this. When he comes back and starts broadcasting again, it's going to bring more people back into the fold to listen to podcasts, and then they'll start looking for other ones to listen to also. Now, Vince Connolly's, he averages 40 to 60,000 listeners each podcast, but when Bongino was broadcasting, he was doing over 100,000. So that's how much he brings to the game. So look at that. Dan Bongino's on his way back. That's going to be cool. Anyone, I got 9 people watching live right now. Anybody here that's looking forward to Dan Bongino coming back, let me know. Put something in the live chat. All right. Okay, so I'm going to skip around in what I'm doing. I've read those. I'm going to go down to so here in Texas, right? In Texas, we had, we're trying to, oh, wait a minute. No, we'll go back to this one first. All right. So, if you notice in the live chat and in the comments section, I put a URL in there for freedom250.org. So this morning on Fox, they had Monica Crowley, and she's the ambassador for the America 250 stuff, right? Or for protocol. So it says here, President Trump is kicking off, and there was a video that came out this morning also. President Trump is kicking off America's months, plural, long birthday bash, celebrating the 250th anniversary of the country's founding with a new nonpartisan organization dubbed Freedom 250, which will lead the administration's celebrations, Fox Digital learned. The year 2026 will mark a celebration of America unlike anything we have ever done, and I'm grateful to President Trump for the opportunity to execute his vision for Freedom 250. Keith Cratch, former Undersecretary of State under the first Trump administration, who was named CEO of Freedom 250, said in a press release of the new organization. By working alongside states, businesses, and organizations across the country, Freedom 250 will reignite the pioneering spirit that defines America to strengthen the foundation for the next 250 years of independence, opportunity, and freedom. It has a new website, like I said, freedom250.org. It has Monica Crowley was talking about, let's see if they put any highlights on here. There's going to be it started with President Trump's Flag Day parade, which was his 79th birthday. There's going to be a UFC fight on the grounds of the White House. There's a humongous fireworks display on July 4th. There's going to be reenactments. There's going to be stuff in Philadelphia. Go on the freedom250.org website, and it is very well made, and you will learn. I do America 250 every single day. I wish people would comment about it. I have learned, I have a degree in history, and I have learned so much over the last few months I started on the siege of Boston, right? When the Army was founded by the Second Continental Congress, and I've learned so much about everything that's happening up in Canada, around Boston, the different battles, the battles in Virginia and South Carolina so far, about the Olive Branch petition, the response to it, and the response to that response, and how the Army's birthday, the Navy's birthday, the Marine Corps birthday, and how they formed themselves in a tavern. I mean, every single little thing, it's awesome. I'm looking forward for this celebration to take off. And me, myself, I don't care if people listen to the rest of my podcast. If they listen to the first 5 minutes and hear the America 250 and then bail on me after that, I don't care. I love that. That's why I have a degree in history. And my kids learned that when they were growing up in our family and stuff. So freedom250.org, but the links are in the live chat and in the comments. So here in Texas, let me get to it. We have, let me get to it. Yeah, there we go. So, we've got a battle going on. One, we redistricted mid-cycle, right? And two, we are actually trying to close our primaries, and just Republicans vote in Republican primaries, Democrats vote in Democrat primaries. It's fair. It keeps unnecessary interference from other political parties into the party's political contest, right? So, but this is the reason why we want we want closed primaries. So in Llano County, Llano is, you have Austin, and then you go a little bit northwest, you have Marble Falls, and then you go west and you go into Llano County. It's the original location of Cooper's Barbecue, right? So if you don't know, that's the best barbecue you get in the state of Texas, right? So a husband and wife are running against each other for the same commissioner seat in Llano County. It's Commissioner Seat 4, turning a battle over a public library system into a family affair. Robert Little, running as a Republican, and Democrat Leila Green Little, she's a Democrat, are both challenging longtime Precinct 4 Commissioner Jerry Don Moss, who has already served nearly 20 years on the Llano County Commissioner Court. According to Moss, He's the current county commissioner. At the center of the challenge is Llanos County library system. They've kind of already started their library talks about how we're bad because we don't want dirty books in our library, which is true, especially in the children's section of our library, he told Texas Scorecard. Leela Green Little, alongside others, a plaintiff in a federal lawsuit that claimed the county violates the residents' First Amendment rights by removing sexually explicit children's books from the public library system. In May, which is a few months ago, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected those claims, ruling that while the Constitution sometimes protects the right to receive private speech, it does not create a brave new right to receive information from the government in the form of taxpayer-funded library books. They appealed it to the United States Supreme Court. The Supreme Court declined to hear the appeal, leaving the county's removal in place. In his campaign announcement, Robert Little wrote that he is running because he believes the commissioners have gotten the county involved in several lawsuits and brought national shame upon our community while voting for salary increases. He has tied his bid to broader dissatisfaction on how the county commissioners court has handled the library controversy in county businesses. Moss pushed back on claims that the commissioners court had destroyed the library system. We're fully staffed, and while we have not bought new books recently, that's about to change, he said, referencing to a recent budget allocation for library acquisitions in anticipation of the lawsuit's resolution. He also highlighted his record on taxes and infrastructure issues, saying that he has worked to maintain low tax rates, manage road maintenance, and care for county employees. That's the job of the county commissioner. No way you can please everyone, but honestly and hard work go a long way. The Littles did not respond to the Texas Scorecard request for comment. The Texas Scorecard asked both Llano County Democrat chair and the Republican chair if either had seen a couple run against each other for a seat. And the GOP chairwoman, Jessica McRae Grabber, confirmed that both Moss and Little had met the criteria to be on the March Republican primary ballot. She declined to comment on the other on either candidate. The Democrat chair, his name is Richard Day. I know the Littles quite well, and they're both wonderful people. Either of them would be an enormous improvement over the incumbent county commissioner, who, among other things, attempted to trade the county's public library for an agriculture arena and a tractor. The trade Richard Day reference involved a proposal to transfer multiple properties between the county and the city of Llano at a September 6, 2022, that was 3 years ago, Llano City Council meeting. City officials discussed a possible property swap with the county that would have turned the library building into a new city hall if the county agreed to trade it. The mayor later told KVUE the library building is not being considered, it was just discussed. It was no longer part of any potential deal. And the primary elections take place on March 3rd, 2026. Okay, so you have a husband and a wife. One's a Republican, one's a Democrat, running. The Republican is running against Mr. Moss, Commissioner Moss, for his seat. You have the Democrat chair calling both the husband and wife wonderful people. So this is my take on the situation. So they got the wife running as a Democrat, and then you have the husband running as a Republican against a Republican, trying to defeat him in the primary, saying that if they were not able to take him out in the primary, he would still have competition in November, at the November 3rd election. Okay. That's my dog barking. So that is a case of why we need closed primaries, because evidently it sounds like Robert Little is actually a Democrat in disguise, and they just got some scheme trying to unseat the county commissioner. Remember back in the late 20s, early 30s, I think it was when the Fergusons were governors. A vote for Ma is a vote for Paul, because Paul Ferguson was kicked out of office. That's the same concept. But just to show you what the Texas scorecard thinks about the whole situation, Michael Sullivan, he's the writer of the Texas Minute and the leader of the Texas scorecard. He put in his little editorial on Texas Minute, so 2 Democrats are challenging a Republican, one of them as a Republican. Gotcha. Yeah, he is exactly right about that. That is why we need. Closed primaries in Texas. Target employee viciously accused over Charlie Kirk shirt speaks out. It has extraordinary message for supporters. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was one of my comments I was going to tell you about that. But yeah, we need closed primaries in Texas. Please support the Republican Party of Texas on their lawsuit against the state of Texas to open up to close our primaries. All right, and yeah, so I was just reading that the target customer that berated that employee actually went on, I believe, on X and made a huge statement apologizing for the language and the stuff she said to the good justice about what she said to the employee yesterday, and evidently the employee just made a statement about that too. So hopefully everything can get remedied. Someone raised $200,000 for the employee. That is great. That is great. And then also CPI was announced this morning that it was only measured at, it went up 2.7% instead of the projected 3.1%. So looks like we got somewhat of a grip on inflation, and we're dragging it down. Just like what the president was talking about earlier with prices and stuff. You don't want to put your economy into deflation mode, because that's just going to knock us into a recession. What you want to do is that you'll hardly ever get the prices to come back down, especially on fixed products and stuff. Commodities like oil and food, they go up and down all the time. But most of everything else has a fixed price. And as business owners raise their prices on stuff, they aren't going to bring the prices back down, because they're going to lose money. Dude, stop. Man, he's just having a rough time over there. I'm sorry, guys. There he goes. But so as long as you can keep the rate of price increases at a low increase, or stop increasing, you can put a damper on inflation, and people get to keep more of their money, right? That is really good news. That is real good news. So I took care of all those right there. And then I'm not even going to get to all my stuff. It's all right. I was reading our liberal paper this morning here in Killeen, the Killeen Daily Herald, right? Let you see the whole headline, right? So, City Council special meeting drawing mixed reaction from residents. And then on the bottom below the fold, there is recall petitions. That's not the one. Okay, so what a lot of people didn't know, and I'm really disappointed that the word didn't get out about it. It's like if you put stuff under the rug, and you think no one's going to find out about it. But the Texas legislature did a really good thing, and they passed Senate Bill 1494. Right? 1494 gives municipalities that have elections in May the opportunity to move their elections into November, as long as those elections are in odd number years, because you have gubernatorial in even numbered years and presidential elections in even number of years. So they don't want to influence the November elections, but nobody found out about it. What happened to allowing the municipalities to know that that bill was placed, or was they or some of these cities trying to prevent that from happening? They keep the voter the percentage of people going to vote, I forgot what to call it, at a low minimum, so they can get their old school people, their dependable voters, to go out and vote for their candidates, instead of like Jose Seguero said when he ran a couple of years ago. He got 30,000 votes on an election. What is wrong with that? If you're afraid of people that don't know you that are going to vote for you or vote against you, it's your job to get the word out as a candidate so people know about it. But why would you want to have a low voter turnout to get elected? Wouldn't you want a large percentage of your voter base to get out to the polls? That's my view. I talked to someone about this for 30 minutes yesterday, and he was trying. He said him and a few other people were looking to try to corral it to us, so they could control the number of people that ran for office and to go vote for those people. And I understand that, because you want to win your election and stuff. And I was talking about my college that I was serving at, right? About moving the election date to November instead of May, because like in Copper's Cove, the turnout when I lost my election last May was at 0.045%. That'd be less than 0.5% of registered voters actually got out to go vote in Copper's Cove. And I tried my best to get people to go vote. But everyone here in Coryell County, we have November elections except for that one election, and then they moved the voting location too. But that wouldn't, if they moved CTC's election to November, along with Killeen and Harker Heights and stuff, you wouldn't have the influence all the time on the presidential and gubernatorial elections, because you have those odd number of election years in what the bill says. And just to show you really quick, I'm at an hour. I'm going to have to call this quit in just a few minutes, because I'm going to see that movie at 2:30. But there was, they put in there pros and cons, right? Pros and cons of moving elections to November. Pros: higher voter turnout, greater chance of a turnover of the council, because if you don't have ultimate term limits, you just move from seat to seat. You go from at-large to precinct. Simplifies the election cycle. You're not getting apathetic voting because, well, there's a vote every 4 months and I can't keep track. If you have your voting on one particular day, unless it's like a special or primary, you know when you're going to go vote. And then last one would match state and other elections occurring in November. I just talked about that, right? This will reduce the amount of time local residents need to vote. The cons to moving them is less informed voters. I just discussed that. It's the responsibility of the candidate to get out there and to produce the reasons why to vote for them. Investigators probing. Oh my goodness. Investigators probing ties between Brown University and MIT professor shootings days into separate manhunt. I talked about that yesterday, didn't I? If you listened to the JP8 report yesterday, I put two of them together. I'm glad they're actually considering that. Let's see. Cons: less informed voters. It's responsibility of the candidate to get the word out. Greater chance of council turnover, so you don't have continuity. That's why you have a city manager and budget and directors of departments, right? The city council controls the mayor. The city council is led by the mayor, but they direct the city manager, and the city manager directs the departments. So, they learn quick, okay? Potential for mayor and council to stay an additional year and a half. That's to synchronize the voting, the election. Okay, I can go with that. And then lack of public input. Okay, so that's the only thing that I would want to bring up was the lack of public input. Killeen is having this special city council meeting tomorrow, right? To consider this. This bill was signed in May, and they're finally considering it at the week before Christmas, when this should have been talked about months or even weeks ago. I actually believe that we should move it, all right? A city activist named James Sills, he said, I don't know why it's up for discussion. Why would they extend the current mayor and council members as an option when they can just defer this to 2029 or not do it at all? So what he didn't know was that the deadline for switching your elections is December 31st, 2025, or it expires, right? That's why they're doing it now. It should have been done weeks ago, right? Wow. Alrighty. So we're at an hour and 3 minutes. So I didn't get to upcoming. Okay, it's just election stuff, and then what's going on in Minnesota. I guess I'll never talk about Minnesota because I've had Minnesota stuff stacking up on my desk over here all week long. Still have not got to it yet, but evidently that's up to a $2 billion fraud scheme that's going through the state of Minnesota through the Democrat Party and Somali population. Just so you know, see, I have that already on my slideshow. That's Omar, and I think she's a Black Lives Matter lady. All right. So I will talk to y'all tomorrow and maybe get some more of this. Remember, broadcast tomorrow. I'm doing a regular podcast on Monday, so I can cover what happened over the weekend and maybe make up for some of this lost stuff here. On Tuesday, I'm planning, unless something's really, really important going on, I'm going to do America 250, part of that Freedom 250 thing, right? For Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Christmas Day, Friday, Saturday, on just America 250, unless something really important comes out and I need to talk about it also. So you'll see me on Monday and Tuesday, and then that following week, I know a minimum of Monday and Tuesday I'm going to do it again, right? I might take the rest of that week off, all right, and get my studio up and going. I really want to go to the next level on this thing, but I'm trying. Let me get my slide back over here. One more. There we go. All right, cool. All right. So if you want to catch me on my socials, I'm on X at James Pierce Jr. I'm on Facebook at James A. Pierce Jr. I'm on YouTube at the JP8 Report 67 Truth at James A. Pierce. And my email is jp8report@gmail.com. All right. And like I said, I apologize for yesterday. Evidently, it looks like I lost my live feed on my, at least on YouTube, because it said 16 minutes on it. And then for my voice and stuff. If you ever hear something going on my podcast live that and my voice drops or I freeze, please leave me a comment, either in live feed or in a comment. The comments stay forever. Just let me know so I'm aware of it, right? So I will see y'all tomorrow. I'll let y'all know how Avatar is this afternoon. Can't wait. 1 hour and 24 minutes from now. All right. So this is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. I will catch you on the flip side. I'm out.